Hi everyone. Today I'm going to begin my series, my journey through the films of 1972. And I don't know how far I'm going to get, but I'm starting off with with a bunch of westerns, those four back here, and the one I'm going to be talking about today, and that is Joe Kidd. Joe Kidd stars Clint Eastwood, and it's a rather traditional Western. The storyline is certainly traditional. We have a landowner who has basically owns most of the land in around this town, and he has gobbled up all the land that the Mexican inhabitants have lived on for generations. The deeds that they had to their property have been destroyed in a fire. These Mexicans have had enough. They begin a rebellion against him and to try to get their land back. He will have none of it. Property is sacred, and he is out to destroy the rebellion, and especially the rebel leader, who is played by John Saxon. Clint Eastwood plays Joe Kidd. In the opening scenes, he is in jail. He's there because he's been drunk and disorderly, but we do learn that formerly he was an ace bounty hunter. He's given up all that life that he led, and now is a peaceful rancher in the area outside of when he is drunk and disorderly. And the landowner hears that he was once an ace bounty hunter and the best tracker around. But Joe Kidd turns him down. I'm living a quiet life now. I don't have any argument with these Mexicans, but then an incident happens, and for personal reasons, he changes his mind. So he does join the landowner and his henchmen in pursuit of the rebellion, and so we see him transformed from this peaceful man into what is basically a superhero. Not only is he an expert tracker, he is a top pugilist, he is an expert gunfighter, and he's crafty. He can figure his way out of any obstacle that comes in front of him, and he's got some pretty dangerous obstacles that he has to face going forward. And he's also the most virile man, and Clint Eastwood likes to put these kind of scenes in. I call them the Sandra Locke scenes. And the landowner arrives in town with his mistress, who he puts next door to him. Joe Kidd comes and realizes these are some pretty dangerous men, but he's already eyed the mistress, so he just barges in right on into her room, and she looks at him. She's small, blonde, big eyes, and she looks at him. Oh my God, she's just full of lust for him. And she's played by Lynn Marta, who's fairly familiar and character actress of the time. But she's totally extraneous to the plot. I mean, she's just there for these two scenes to show, to emphasize that Clint Eastwood is his virility. We don't even know what happens to her at the end of the film. But at any rate, Eastwood, who came to superstardom through his collaboration with Sergio Leone in this image, this screen persona, being laconic, quick with a quip, and basically kind of indestructible. Then when he comes to Hollywood, he sets up his own production company, Malpaso, and I think I've never read a biography of Eastwood, but I think he tried to figure out ways, what kind of roles will I be able to play commercially that would be commercially successful, and he has before Joe Kidd, he has sort of experimented with the first movie they directed, Play Misty for Me, which I think is a really good movie. I made a video on it last year sometime, and but he's playing a sort of average guy. He's not any kind of indestructible hero. That did not go over well. And then even worse was The Beguiled, a Civil War movie in which he is an injured soldier and he gets done in by a whole group of women. That did not go over well with the public. So I think, and the year before Joe Kidd was his big hit, Dirty Harry, where he does go back to this kind of really macho kind of role, and he's the savior. You know, the bureaucracy is corrupt. Everything is corrupt. You need me to save you. And the screenplay for Joe Kidd was written by Elmore Leonard, and Elmore Leonard would go on to great fame writing crime novels that Get Shorty and Jackie Brown were based on, but originally in the 60s he was writing westerns and screenplays and novels. The landowner, played by Robert Duvall, is kind of one note for an Elmore Leonard character. I mean, he's clearly just a homicidal maniac. There really isn't much else to him. He'll just kill anybody who gets in the way of his property. But there are some kind of interesting ticks with his henchmen. Three of them, they were also homicidal maniacs. But Don Stroud, who had played the villain in Dirty Harry, Paul Koslow, James Wainwright, they're kind of amusing in their villainy. John Sturges directs this movie, and a veteran Hollywood Western Magnificent Seven. And reading some research on the film, he was greatly revered by cast and crew for, you know, wow, this is John Sturges. And he does set up the action scenes are really good. The gunfights, there's a sequence at the end involving a train engine. It's very funny. If you've ever seen the film with Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor, where they use a train engine even more spectacularly, you get an idea of what this train engine is going to do at the final gunfight. But I have to admit that the plot, and especially the motivations of the characters, they get pretty shaky in the final third of the film. But overall, I thought it was a decent entertainment. You know, I mean, it moves fast. It's got some good gunfights. The scenery is fantastic. Definitely not one of Clint Eastwood's great westerns, but I remember liking him in the movies, and I still liked it in 50 years later. Okay, thanks a lot for everybody who managed to listen to me. I do appreciate it. Again, any films from 1972 that you guys would recommend or might want me to comment upon, please leave them in the comments. You guys take care.